Hello, viewer, and welcome to Spotlight here on Hope TV, where you look and live. And on Spotlight, we are always doing our very best to bring to you persons who are transforming our community in the direction of light. And a big area in our contemporary world is technology. Now, technology is opening new frontiers for every sector. And now, when you think about it, we just have to reflect on the church and reimagine. How does the church look when we mainstream technology? Notice the word mainstream, because sometimes we do supportive mini inclusion of technology, but what about even mainstream day? How would that look like? And we are so glad on this edition of Spotlight to be joined by one gentleman who is a man of faith, but his life also has been a life in technology. He is none other than Joe Kirago. Joe Kirago has worked with different organizations in the area of technology, and at present, he is the operations director at Cybrain, which he will tell us what he does there. But again, be part of this conversation. It's about church taking up tech. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Happy to have you.
Happy to have. I'm happy that you invited me.
And then welcome to also Hope TV.
Be part of the conversation.
You've not been here before.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mpungaji.
And we know what the thing about the topic that we're talking about is such it has generated so much interest that I suspect highly that people know of your reputation.
Sure.
So welcome to Hope TV. Welcome to Spotlight. We're talking about technology, and viewer, as we talk about technology, do engage us, do write your comments. We'll be glad to read them as you're part of this conversation about church taking up tech. Now, it's always good to talk about faith first, because sometimes when we see people in the marketplace, especially at the top of the marketplace, we always want to know their relationship with God. And so you
takes the brown envelope. So, of course, it dents your faith, it dents your values. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about your journey in tech. And I'm sure that for you to be working in a global company at a director level, there has to be a story.
Yes.
Just a little background about you and technology and your interest.
All right. Very interesting. When I began my career, when began my training, I actually wanted to be an accountant because my dad is an accountant. And I enrolled at Strathmore College in the late 90s. And I was doing CPA. It was a hot thing then. But I was doing evening classes, and I got bored. What should I be doing during the day? So I went and started doing a diploma in computer science. That's how I landed in the tech side. And during that particular time, we were the first, I think, lot allowed to go and change your university courses before your job admitted you. And I quickly went and changed where I'd put all those BComs and all those. I changed and looked for anywhere there is computer science. And there was this new course at Maseno University. I also put it there. So luckily I got into that course. That's how I began my career in technology. But looking back, and looking at how probably I'm raising my son, how, the career growth of children, and especially looking at the CBC world, I think I began the technology world much more earlier. When I was a kid, I would play with, my toys were, destroying the radio, putting it back together. I would play a lot with a lot of electronic stuff. I'll try and build my own things with that. When I was at secondary school, part of the science club, I would do a lot of things with the electronic stuff. So I began much more earlier, just that I did not realize. But when I started the diploma in computer science, then I was deep. So I've ventured into this IT industry for over 20 years, worked in various sectors, from telecommunications, from ISPs, from internet registry, that is KENIC. I've worked for civil aviation. So, and I've been all through different stages, the system administrator, database administrator. So I've gone through, the whole stack of IT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, clearly, for some people, they hear IT and they look at a distance with admiration. And with, whoa, that's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Now, right now, you've been working with Cybrain for a while. Tell us a little bit about what Cybrain does.
All right, thank you. So Cybrain is a global company with its head office in South Africa. So we are a company that looks at digitizing, innovating, and automating the businesses of tomorrow. Our niche is on the banking side and the insurance side. Mostly on the banking side, we help them on the automation of their processes, mainly the payment solutions, digitization solutions. So that's our niche area. On the insurance side, we're also venturing a lot into that particular area, helping the insurance again digitize. Our key product that we've delivered in the African market is on the payments. Specifically speaking, at Kenya, we have 21 banks that we are running. And apart from the 21 banks, because we have many banks in Kenya, we have 42 banks in Kenya. So that's 50% of the banking sector in Kenya. But apart from that, indirectly, all the banks, because we are running this Kenya Bank Association clearinghouse system, where all the checks are clear, where all the EFTs clear. So we implemented the check truncation solution in Kenya way back in 2011. Of course, we are proud to be, as Cybrain, the only company that has implemented the check truncation first solution in Africa. That was in Malawi, and the third in the world. So that was our flagship product, which we've done very well. But of course, we have other products that we are providing for the insurance and the banking sector.
Wow, that's
so it's a global company. So we have the regional office, which is Cybrain Kenya, where I'm a director. And Cybrain Kenya, we look at the East African market. That is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. So I look at operations of those particular areas.
Given that, we definitely are talking to the right person when it comes to tech.
Thank you.
Now, every time we talk about technology, Joe, we think quickly pushing boundaries. We're pushing boundaries. And sometimes when we talking about pushing boundaries, we sometimes are also talking about almost pushing out God. You know, and do you see as you push the boundaries, as you innovate, as you find newer ways of doing things, this creator thing, do you feel, do you see God in it, or do you feel like sometimes there's an aspect in which you are also, pushing, in a way challenging, the boundaries of faith?
Not really. And I think they're part of it. There's this thing I normally say: God is a creator, and the innovation, the innovative force influencing humanity.
Just say that again.
God is the creator, and the innovative force influencing humanity. Okay. So you can see the creation aspect, because technology is all about creation, and God is a creator, and he's the one who influences a lot of, this innovative, minds that we have. So he's part of the technology. Okay, he's a giver of gifts and insights to human intellect for technology advancement in mission, expansions, and expression. So you can see it's part of it. So it's not like technology takes away the gospel. It complements the gospel in a very big way. Okay. Because some people say that technology waters the gospel, but that's not true. It actually complements and helps package the gospel much more better, much more to niche to certain groups, and you deliver it in a more efficient manner.
Okay. Yeah. Because sometimes you feel like when we, especially in the modern society, when there's so much going on, like in terms of technology, there's explorations, and there is AI, artificial intelligence, and all of a sudden you feel as if man is coming out with a lot of knowledge, as if they don't need faith. But now you say that actually that is all that is part of God's creative power. Yes. Let me also ask you a question, because you as a tech person, you go to a church, right? You go to maybe a big church, maybe a small church. I mean, and there are many tech people who attend faith communities. But somehow those faith communities, the way they run their services is still pretty like lagging behind. So as a tech person, how is it that most of you still sit in a congregation where technology is so low? I mean, how are you able to, how do you perceive that, or how do you digest that?
Yeah, I think that's a challenge that I'll throw out also to my counterparts in the tech world, that we have to take a step and be in the center of ensuring that the church is transforming, because it's all about transforming the church, because we cannot be where we were, and if the church is not transforming, then the church will be left behind. So the church has to innovate with time, just like technology is innovating. New ideas are coming up, so the church has to be innovative. But that conversation must happen from within, not without, from within. So we must be, as the technology people, we must be involved in leadership position. Then you impact skills and don't impact community. So use your skill to ensure that it moves to the next level. Ensure that that technology into that. So I think we should not just be sleeping with our skills, thinking that our skills are only for the job only, for you to get the shilling, the dollar. You also need to push it to ensure that also faith moves.
Okay. Which brings us to just a knowledge question here, because technology is so vast.
Yeah.
It's a vast area. And maybe you can just briefly tell us about the different forms of technology that exist.
Okay. So before I talk about the different forms of technology, it's important for us to understand what is technology. There are so many definitions of what technology is, but I'll just put it in a simple manner that technology is a practical application of scientific knowledge to solve real-world problems. Okay, so the issue is solving real-world problems and improve human welfare. Okay, it aims to either for either commercialization or for industrial objective, or for, in this matter, for spiritual objective. So, solving real problem using scientific knowledge. So the word here is scientific and solving the problem.
Yeah.
So there are various forms of technology that are out there. There are so many definitions, again, that you can classify technology, but I'll mainly go at 6 levels that you can have. The most common one is, of course, is communication technology. And that's where most of the areas that probably the church falls in. And communication technology, whether it's TV, internet, you're talking cell phones, this technology, how you use them, that the application bit of it is now advancing now, the technology. Messaging, video chats, streaming, all that now is the advancing of those technologies that are out there. Electronic technology, electrical technologies is there, computers, circuitries, you're talking about the software, audio visual, which again is very important as far as we're talking about the church and technology is concerned. But we have others, of course. Energy is another area of technology, whether you're talking about solar, whether you're talking about wind, wind tunnels, or any other source of renewable energy that we have. There's a lot of talk about renewable and green energy right now, which is technology really. Manufacturing, there are so many areas in manufacturing and food security that we talk about in technology. Medicine, very interesting topic about medicine and technology, telemedicine, surgical that is done through technology, diagnostics and all that. And the last one is transportation, which, whether you're talking about GPS, you're able to track, and Google Maps and all that, aeronautical vehicle technology and all that. So there are various classifications, but I'll probably put those 6 as the main categories that you classify the different types of technology.
That's very helpful, because sometimes we lump up
everything
as technology.
Yes,
but
yes.
hearing especially the mention of communications technology and electronic technology, and you say that those are the areas where the church really should focus on. From where you sit, let's go right into your day-to-day work, right from the time you started out to where you are now. Do you have you interacted with churches as clients?
On my daily work as Cybring, very limited.
Which is where I'm going. Because
very limited.
Yes.
Very limited because it's more corporate. And I think the churches need to change and see themselves sometimes as corporate. Because the churches sometimes don't see themselves as corporate. So I deal more with the corporates, the banks, the insurance, on the central banks and those kind of institutions. So not so much. So I think the church is more on not my daily work, but my other social life.
Which is why, because it seems like being a person in tech and who have interacted a lot with technology, you'd expect that would have a memory that there's a time I dealt with the church as a client. But it seems then, if the church is not engaging technology from a level where it's really a noteworthy client, what does that tell you? Or what does that say?
Yeah, I think, like I said, the churches need to transform and become corporates, right from the leaderships. Because sometimes the churches will want to just get the services from the members, but not professionalize that particular element of getting the best output out of that. So it's time they looked at it that way. I think many of the churches now are going that route because you see their strategic plan. There is an effort to put ICT as a big pillar of their ministry. For example, in our church now, we have the IT and communication ministry. When you go to some of the churches, it's just a side support. The IT guys are seen as a side support, is not a core part of the ministry. But it's a very fundamental part of the ministry. Just like we say, technology, we are living technology today in every day of our lives. I just imagine if we don't have internet today, the TVs are off and the cell phones are off, how will you survive? So we are living technology every day. So in the same manner, we need to take it to the next level. Also on the churches, it needs to be part of their strategic initiative that technology is a pillar, just like you have evangelism is a pillar. This fellowship is a pillar. The forums that you have at the community, whether you call them, district forums or the Jumia forums. So you also need to have an ICT as another pillar in the church structure.
Yes, staying with that, I want to imagine a scenario where you are talking to a pastor or given a chance to talk to the leadership of a church. And you want to recommend to them the need for the opportunities that exist in technology. What are some of the things you would recommend to such a church?
All right, I think the opportunities are out there. And one of the easiest probably is to look at the generation that is coming up. Because if you look at the churches today, some of them are losing the young generation because they're not embracing technology. So you have to move with time. So the opportunities are there in terms of getting more members, because you have to talk the language of the flock that you are leading. So technology is part of their blood. So you have to use technology to actually get to them. Technology also is also an avenue of revenue. I think so many people don't realize that, but technology is an avenue of revenue. For even for the churches. So it can be used as an avenue of revenue.
Can you say more about that?
In terms of content, because when you are doing technology, you're creating content. For example, you're doing your streaming, you're doing your sermons, you're recording the sermons. You have clips that you're doing, sound bites. So the content is now gold. We are living in an era where data is gold now. If you have the right data, you are able to sell that data for somebody else to make a decision. Businesses today are driven by data. We call them, business data-driven businesses. So by having the right data, you are able to move your organization, you're able to move your church, because here church is an organization, just like another corporate, like I said. So you're able to move to the next level. So there's a lot of commercialization that is unseen in that particular area that can be done by that. A simple example is, for example, YouTube. You hit your numbers, you hit, your 1,000 likes, and you have enough hours that you've accumulated, then you start commercializing that particular content. So it's a revenue that you're doing. We have there out there, and I think it's one thing that I've seen this government is actually trying to push to the young generation about content. Maybe not packaged very well because of the scandal we had the other day about Talanta Hela. But it is out there. There are people that are making good money from just content alone. And why not the church? Why not? Yeah.
Again, in imagining the church, if you go full tech in your mind right now, you're entering the church. The church has many things. It has many fun. It's a worship service. You've entered the gate of the church. You've entered the sanctuary. You're sitting down. You're listening. You're seeing. Maybe you can envision for us what, in all those particular steps in the church, how technology can be of value. It's not quite a value chain. We can call it a church chain.
Yes.
A church chain. From the time you enter the gate, all the way to the time that you are in the sanctuary and being ministered to. If you can imagine for us how a tech-friendly church would look like.
All right, it's a very interesting question, and I just look sometimes at my congregation, and I tend to think, I try to imagine how it will be in the future, and it's a very interesting conversation. There's so much that we can do to ensure that the church is there. But a high-tech church, I'll look at this. One of the things, like you said, when you're coming in, is automated, attendance management. How are you able to know that your congregants today have come, so and so has not come in today, and you're able to make even follow-up, because it's a community. We need to take care of each other as brothers and sisters. So imagine you have an automated way of attendance. By the time you come in, it's already clocked that so and so is here. Okay, you can even reserve a seat and say, I want to sit on seat number 8 when I come in. Okay, especially with the COVID pandemic, I saw actually a church that was doing that. You could book a seat online, and you'd come in and secure that particular seat because of the distances and all that. So imagine where you're doing that, and you're able to follow up. So and so did not come up, and you're able to do a follow up of your congregants. You know how they're doing socially, and you know whether there's anything that did not make them come to church. So I think that is one element that I'll probably look at. It's very important in terms of automated attendance. Of course, specialized virtual services, you know, is something that, you know, a modern church would really want to have, whether you have, because the service sometimes we have is very general, but you have very specific groups that in a normal service, you'll not be able to deliver the message to all of them. But in an online sector, you're able to deliver different packaged messages for the different sectors. Online feedback is very important. Not the manual feedback we've been having, you know, you fill a form and you leave it there. But imagine where you, after the service, you just go at the back and there's a tablet there and you just provide your anonymous feedback. And immediately the leadership, you know, from today, this is our gauge. From 1 to 10, today we scored 8. You know, that helped the church to modernize.
The pastor may not like that very much.
Yes,
if the sermon is
yes,
if there's a section of
the section,
the sermon. Today you are
but
leaning towards 1.
Yeah,
you know,
but the feedback, feedback could be general, not just on sermons only,
feedback,
but could be looking at all the other areas. Of course, the welcoming bit, because you've already identified who's coming in, so you don't have to ask for who is a visitor to stand up. You've already identified that this person is a visitor. So that welcoming bit happens instantly. So this visitor is already taken care of by the time he's sitting down. Welcome to our church. Can we have a cup of tea? Even before you ask, you know, the ushers already know this is a visitor by identifying through
the registration,
through the registration process, or through the online, you know, attendance that is happening. So that's something that we can take to the next level. That we can have that. I talked about data, you know, data-driven, you know, organization. The same case with the church. You know, this data that you're picking will help you to make decisions. Is our church growing? What areas do we have weaknesses? What are the challenges from the feedback that our members are facing? What kind of support do we need to provide? So this data helps you to make a decision. You don't have to go into a meeting and start discussing in length, but you already have the data that is helping you to make that decision.
Yeah. Joe, we're getting to a very exciting part of this conversation. You know, when talking about the church, from the time you enter, how tech is helpful there, and also you can even notice new members right from that point, and do some welcoming thing automatically. You've talked about, I mean, online, you know, feedback. You talked about even like, you know, giving when it comes to online. And a lot of good things. And we'll take a short break. I want to stay on that trend there. We'll come back to you as we imagine the church when it has mainstream technology. And I'm just looking forward to hearing also how pastoral care can be supported by technology. Viewer, we are talking about reimagining the church by mainstreaming technology. Stay with us. We're taking a short break. This is Spotlight.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Kama vile mashua baharini, mizani imekwisha wasili. hii kila Alhamisi.
Msoleta kabisa, mpenzi mtazamaji, mpenzi msikilizaji wa Mizani.
Tungependa Wakenya waende kwenye nchi ambazo tuko na mikataba nao.
Kulikuwa na Raila Odinga, kukawa na Wajakoya pia. Mbona hongeunga mkono?
Tupe mauzani wa masuala ibuka na chipukayo kutoka kila pembe ya Kenya na ukanda huu wa Afrika. Yawe mambo au vijimambo, jiongea na kutaarifu na kuarifu zako fikra. Kila Alhamisi saa 1 machweo kwenye runinga ya Hope TV.
Nitamu.
Tukutane Mizani.
Love Nairobi Festival with evangelist Andrew Palau is coming to Nairobi. All are welcome at this free event. 3 days of great music with Don Moen, Pompi, Evelyn Wanjiru, and more of Kenya's best artists. Bring the kids to the family fun zone, see high-flying motorcycle and BMX bicycle demonstrations. Love Nairobi Festival, 15th to 17th September at the University of Nairobi Sports Grounds. Friday, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. More details at lovenairobifestival.org. It's free.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Cynthia?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcast?
Really? Even Meet of the One?
Yeah. I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
We are talking about reimagining the church through mainstreaming of technology, and some just amazing perspectives being given to us here by our guest, who is Joe Kirago, who is the operations director at Cybrain. And just interesting how we can reimagine the church right from the door all the way to the activities happening within our worship service, for instance. And there's much more that we can be able to think about the church, in addition to what has become more obvious now, like streaming and all that projection. There are some other areas where technology really can support the church in effectiveness. And Joe, we were talking about that, and we had reached a point when we were talking about even how hospitality, the welcoming of the visitors can be automatic. You know, like it's noted that a new person has come to the church, and technology is able to make, for instance, the ushering team just move in because they know there's a new person. Let's continue with that.
Yeah, so there's much more even when you talk about, how, because we're walking through the journey when you're coming to church, yeah, and the technology that you'll use there. So apart from the welcoming, of course, there's the normal things that normally happens, the projections. You feel, for example, the announcements. You don't have to go into details and read the announcements. Sometimes they're not tailored for everyone. So even the announcements can be tailored in such a manner that you're receiving them on text, on your phone, because they're specific to you. So you're not just broadcasting the same announcements to everybody. So it's been specific to that particular person. So using all the channels that you could have, social media plus the normal traditional methods that you have, plus the projection on the church. Of course, there's the other bit when it comes to the sermons, how you deliver the sermons, using audio visuals is very important, because visual is very powerful. I'm one person, and I'm doing my workshops with my customers. I do a lot of diagrams. because I believe in visuals. You tend to remember that visual more than the paragraph. I normally call them paragraphs, than that composition. So you remember the visuals. So audio visual is very powerful in terms of also delivering the message. So again, technology comes in on that particular area. Yeah.
All right. Now, I'm speaking now here for the pastors as well, because there's a whole dimension of pastoral care. People who are sick, people who are doing weddings, people who need visitations. And sometimes, especially if you're leading like a larger church, it becomes really difficult to manage that whole, let me call it database. How can technology come to the aid of the pastor in this aspect of pastoral care?
All right, very important question. I think you mentioned the word database. So, of course, database becomes the fundamental of that particular element. But from a front-end perspective, I will talk about a portal where, it filters out the details. So the one in charge of the pastor will be able to know, today I have these visitations. And, the escalation is happening within the system that this visitation can be done by this elder, or visitation can be done by this particular leader. This one will need to be done by the pastor. This will need to be done by the reverend or whoever. So based on the nature of the request and all that, so it can be self-automated, so that as the requests are coming, then it's filtering it out and looking at the schedules for these particular teams and giving you according to your schedules, so that you don't have clashing schedules. Because that's important, that you don't have clashing schedules. You have so many requests that are coming in as whoever is taking care of the pastoral needs, but you can't be able to fulfill them because there are many. Tunasemaga kazi ni mingi, wafanyikazi ni wadogo. Yeah, but if that is automated, then it can be able to be spread to the different leaders within the church to be able to take that. Yeah.
I'm thinking also, in addition to not clashing of schedules,
yes,
I'm thinking about urgency. Like some things are really urgent.
Yes.
And if you stay 1, 2, 3 days, then you have lost the pastoral moment.
Yeah.
Then this, you're calling it a portal?
Yeah.
It's able also to highlight what's urgent.
Yes.
And also make sure that there's an action towards that.
Yes. So the portal will do scheduling. Of course, scheduling is where you have the calendar. This is happening, but also priorities. Looking at the priorities, what is top priority, so it can degrade this other priority, have this one as high priority. At the same time, doing the notifications to the person receiving the pastoral care, so that they know, yes, it has been rescheduled to this particular time, or my schedule is this particular time, so that they are also aligned. You don't go for a pastoral need somewhere, then the person was not aware, or the person wasn't available, so that opportunity is wasted, and somebody else would have received that particular pastoral care. So there's a lot that can happen within that particular space. Of course, also bringing in the online space into that particular element as well, because some of it can be scheduled physical, because there are some elements of pastoral that need to be done physically. There are some elements that can be done virtually. You just need to offer counseling to somebody. Some of it can be done virtually. Even prayers can be answered, can be done online.
How do you lay hands on a person? That's the anyway on a light note. Yes.
Yeah. So some of it, again, based on that priority, that can be there. The good thing with portal systems is that you create the business rules. So you create those business rules and you define them, and you can keep on customizing depend on need to be, because one community is not the same as the other. And I'm speaking from my work daily. One solution that we provide for one bank is not the same as the other bank. Business requirement for each customer is different. Same case for the churches. One community is different from another, based on their environments and based on the nature of issues that are around that particular area.
All right. Quite. I mean, the mind is just opening up as you speak. I'm thinking that maybe Joe, it's time for that portal, that pastoral care portal. I think it's time for that.
Yes.
But another big thing in the church, people love meetings. People like meeting, and they like destination meetings. They want to arrive. They want physical meetings. Yes. And how can technology also tidy up these whole many church meetings that sometimes can can be an overload. It
Yes,
can go an
yes.
overkill.
Yeah. Yeah, I think meetings is, yes, they are good because you meet physically and you exchange ideas and all that. But some of the element of that can also be done online. You take less time because you have a straight agenda, and sometimes you can brainstorm online. You only need to discuss critical decisions that you have to go deeper and require closed-door meeting. But most of the meetings I find you're able to deliver them online, and I think COVID really taught us a new way of life that you don't require to physically meet. And I think the church, many churches now have transformed. And I remember us doing that when I was the chair of the PCMF then. And we will do most of our meetings online, including one critical event we had, the Rite of Passage, which was happening during COVID time. And it was a very difficult time. We don't know what to do. And we held all the sessions online, including the doctor's team and all that. So it was only the day of the real event.
Did you see the doctor
Yes,
did things online?
No, the meetings,
No,
the planning, the planning with the doctors and all that. So it's only the actual day that the physical aspect, because it has to be physical at the end of the day. But the planning was done online, and the execution was well done. So we've really learned a lot from COVID, not only from the churches, even the corporates now. There's a lot of working from home. There's a lot of working when mobile, because sometimes you're working. I'm on a different place, but I'm still working. I'm able to attend to several things at the same time because you are able to work virtually. Yeah, so there's a lot of room also in the church to be able to bring that on board as far as meetings is concerned. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that especially in the area of meetings, that would be a whole revolution in some churches. Some churches have moved to that, but some other churches are happy that COVID is over because they can now meet again. They didn't carry the gain that we had made during COVID.
Yes.
But I want us to go to the area of artificial intelligence. It's a big area right now, and sometimes the church would maybe think that's a bit far out, but maybe not. You can maybe imagine for us how AI would play out at the present time.
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion about AI, and everybody's talking about AI now. I think one classic example we'll talk about is the Chat GPT. Where you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can do a whole online writing with it. You can do a whole research on it. So the same case, even in churches, you can use that to do your own research on that. Because the good thing with technology, it keeps us at par. Whether it's Africa, whether it's the rest of the world, we are at par as far as technology is concerned. The fifth industrial revolution, we are all at par, unlike the other industrial revolutions that happened there. So AI is quite complex when you talk about AI and the blockchains and all that. But this space is there, and there's a lot that the church can do in terms of using AI. Analytics, a lot of analytics can be done in terms of also looking at the trends. I was talking about the data, that feedback that you're getting, that data that you're feeding into your portal, a lot of AI is used at the end to be able to help you come up with a decision-making, matrix decision-making templates that you can use for several things. Yeah.
Okay. And again, the area of robotics, right? We have to, because sometimes it looks a bit like robotics are more in the industry, manufacturing and all that. But we've seen robotics in hospitality.
Yes.
We've seen that already. Imagine there's I have seen, clips of hotels and restaurants that now have gone use robots as waiters. Robotics and the church, how would that look like?
Yeah, I think that's a very controversial area on robotics as far as church is concerned, because and I think, and some people look at robotics as replacing humans. And what I say is not replacing humans. That's why I say technology is not is all about enhancing our way of life. So it's not replacing, but enhancing, creating more efficiency, creating better ways of doing our work, including church. So robotics will be there. And I predict that in the next few years, you'll be seeing a lot of robotics being used.
I'm trying to imagine entering a church, ushers.
Yes.
We have a nice robot ushering
you, yeah.
And can even detect a visitor.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
like.
yeah. So what we're talking about, the
Anyway.
automated, part of it can be done using, of course, robotics and AI. That bit of that can also be done using the robotics and AI. Of course, there's some element because you talk about spirituality, then it's a whole new discussion as far as robotics is concerned. So maybe the human element will not be removed from that element. But there is the service bit. The service, just like you're saying, in the service industry, the robotics are used. In the medical field, a whole operation is done using robotics. Okay. In the manufacturing, a whole manufacturing line is done using robotics.
I'm trying to imagine.
So in a similar
Holy Communion, for instance,
yes,
it can be robotized. Like there's
yeah. So I think there's some element, yes, that we'll be seeing the next years taking shape of robotics. As in the church, yeah, cleaning up the place. Putting extra, testing the equipment is fine and all that, because there's a lot of automated testing in our world of software that is done using robotics. So testing also the equipment that you use in church can also be done using and all that. So there's a whole space that can be done, but like I say, it is not replacing human. It is just complementing and ensuring we're getting better and more efficient services delivered, or better way of life.
Okay, great. Just before we end, just briefly, this all sounds very grand and maybe expensive. How do we make this mainstreaming of tech accessible cost-wise?
All right. I think cost is something, as far as technology is concerned, you can play within your budget. It's not all about cost. And I normally say this, for a church to be there on the digital space, it's not all about having all the equipment. Sometimes you could start small within your budget, because you'll deliver you'll deliver the content, you'll deliver the message. Because the most important bit about the church is delivering the gospel, delivering the message out there. And technology is a medium to deliver that particular message out there. So sometimes that doesn't have to be very techy. Of course, you go improving. You can start small. I have seen churches that are doing very good on the digital space by just using a simple, high-end phone, and they're able to do a nice online streaming. They're able to do their clips and all that. So, small, go increasing the bar, because more audience to do more programs. As you get to do more content, then you require more sophisticated equipment to be able to do that. But any church can begin small and scale it up.
Okay, great. Joe, thank you so much for helping us imagine how a techie church would look like. And what I've loved is that you've broken down some very, what you call day-to-day things that are in, for instance, a church service, and you've made made us see that technology is accessible even there. Maybe it's something that we can think about for this to come alive. Maybe we need to get a willing pastor and create a model. The way you have a house for show in a complex. Maybe we should have a willing pastor who can we can get together and there'll be like a showcase of a church mainstreamed in tech. That would be quite interesting. Robotics and all that. So thank you so much, Joe, and we pray that you continue with your good work serving the Lord in that space.
Amen.
And also bringing you and your colleagues and all the techie people bringing this technology to mainstream it in the church. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Viewer, we've been talking about reimagining the church in this era of technology, and a lot of insights from our guests and what has come out is that you can start right where you are. It could sound like it's grand, like it's big, it's wow, but you can start right where you are and then scale it up. Again, let's spread the good news, and technology is a great tool. This has been Spotlight. Thank you for watching.